Hey everyone, welcome back to West Coast Mopars. Today on the channel, this is a 1955 Oldsmobile Super 88. So the video unfortunately is going to jump around a little bit here. This is actually after I did all the work, but my first few clips showing when I first got the car, they seem to have disappeared from the camera, which is too bad. It was very grungy. It had sat for years up in Sayward, I think, just north of Campbell River. So I'm just going to sort of give the backstory on the car, and then unfortunately the clip will sort of jump around. You guys will see it. I'll show some of the work I did. Hopefully you guys get the idea, but oh, what a mess. Oh well, some of it disappeared, but anyways, I bought the car from a young guy up in Campbell River who I believe his dad and him bought it together as a graduation present for the young guy. He had big plans for it. Now I don't know what happened. I think the car got restored maybe in the 90s. It's been painted, and as I look closer at it, I can see, if you look down the side of the hood, you can see blue underneath. If you look at the window where the trim meets the roof, you can see the blue paint underneath the white. It's chipping off in the drip rail. I think the whole car was probably that blue, and then somebody pulled it apart. Yeah, there it is again. You can see it coming through underneath the white here. So somebody has made it a two-tone paint job. It wasn't original. But it is a Super 88, which means it's got a 324 with a 4-barrel. So the 88s came with a 324 2-barrel, and I think they made 182 horsepower or something. The 98 was the bigger car. That came with a 324 4-barrel, which made 202 horse, I think. Now the Super 88, it's kind of neat. It's an 88 body, the smaller one, but you got the 4-barrel 324. So kind of like a little mid-sized or little hot rod kind of, in 55 for Oldsmobile. They gave you the more horsepower in the engine, but in the smaller car. So the story that the young guy gave me was, yeah, his dad and him bought it as a graduation present. But unfortunately, the young guy kind of got excited, and I think he started, he saw stuff like this, where there's filler in the car, and he got a little crazy and started scraping it out with a screwdriver, and maybe got overwhelmed and stopped. I'm not sure what happened, but that's too bad. It probably was a really pretty car, and then he had good intentions, I think. It just, sometimes it's just better to just leave stuff alone and enjoy it as is, than to dive in, neck deep into a project and kind of go, oh, well, what have I done? But he did have the engine rebuilt by a machine shop in Campbell River. So this is a 324 Rocket, Oldsmobile Rocket. Now nothing was plumbed, radiator wasn't hooked, nothing was done when I got the project. It basically, the radiator was in it. It had been recored, but there was a hole in it, so I'll show that in the video here. But I've basically put this whole thing back together. It did sit for about, I think, 5 or 6 years after he had it rebuilt, and then so unfortunately there was some water in the oil. The engine was seized actually, so I had to break it free. The carb I had to rebuild. I had to figure out the ignition system. The distributor came from a parts car which I bought, which is parked over there. Yeah, and then the interior, I'm pretty sure it had full interior. Unfortunately, again, the young guy I don't know how much he went through the interior. I don't know what happened, but I know it had a headliner, and he ripped it out because it had a bit of a smell, or maybe it had a mouse nest in there, I'm not sure. The floors are extremely solid. I don't know if it had carpet when he got it. The seats, this seat's out of a Ford, I think he said, but unfortunately it's not the right one for the car, and I think it's actually too wide. It doesn't quite line up, so I'm not quite sure what to do with the seats. but it's got door panels, and the dash is all in it. It's pretty neat. Door panels look pretty good. It's got a neat dash. The oil pressure gauge works. It does run. I did get it running, and it does move in gear. I actually just figured out that it doesn't sit in neutral though. The shifter only seems to go into drive. It doesn't go all the way over to neutral, so I'll figure that out. But yeah, this is just sort of after I cleaned it up. But what I'll do is I will sort of end the intro here, and I'll just sort of jump back into when I went through the car, because I do have a lot of that footage, and sort of show you guys along the way. This is pretty cool actually. The old oil change stickers are still here. These Texaco oil change stickers. So this one on the top is dated 1974, and this one I think is 1971. And at that time they had 43,982 miles, I think that says. And that's over in Vancouver. So I did talk with the young guy last night, and he said it was last registered in 1974, as far as he can tell. So it's been a while since this has been on the road. The seat that's in here is apparently out of a Ford. It's not for this car. Now the parts car does have seats, but they are pretty crusty. So we'll see what we have, what we can maybe make the best out of what we got out of the two cars. The gauge cluster, the gauges look to be in pretty good shape. I like this little sort of toggle switch for the fan motor here. Looks like it moves. I'm probably going to put a battery in it. They are 12 volt, 55 volts or 12 volt. I think 53 was 6 volt, and then they changed it. It's got this funny little notepad here. It's like magnetic. It's got these old 55 plates in it. Back doors are same. Nice, pretty rust free. Interesting door shape, like when you actually open it. Funky looking thing. It's got these huge tubs here. So there is the, looks like the original overflow bottle, perhaps, or the washer bottle. Alright, I just got back from my buddy Joe's place, where he's got a field full of old cars, and in that field was this one. Now this is also, it's a 55 Oldsmobile Super 88. So now I noticed the one in the shop, the good one, it's missing this little piece, so there's a win already. This one has a gas pedal, which the one inside is missing. Actually, this one says power brakes. The other one does not. So I may convert that to power drums if all the parts are there. We'll see. It's got a good horn ring. The whole dash, all the dash components are there. This one also has a clock, and this one has the courtesy light. But I noticed on the other one, the courtesy light, the switch is broken off, whereas this one's good still. This glove box lid is actually a little nicer. This one still has a dome light, right? The other one's gone. And this one looks like the sun visors are actually in pretty good shape. But also the seats. Now I know these seats aren't the prettiest. However, the other car, the front seat is out of a Ford and it doesn't even have a back seat. So the fact that this one has front and rear seats. The bumper on the other one, as you guys saw, it got mangled. Now this one actually has a really good bumper. It's not twisted. It's got a little bit of rust here, but I can live with that over the big twist that one has. This one's got the proper trim for the trunk lid. The other one's quite wide, so I may look at changing it over. I'm not sure. Tail lights. This one doesn't have reverse lights either. It's just got these caps, these block-off plates, so I guess that was optional. But this one, I don't have keys, and I can't get in the trunk, so I'm going to drill that trunk lock and get that open. Who knows what is in there? All these cars have been sitting at Joe's house for 30, 40 years. If no one's gone in the trunk of this thing, who knows what's back there? Yeah, it's a pretty good parts car actually. This one looks like it has rocker trim on this side. I don't know if the other side has it. It doesn't, unfortunately, just the one side. Now all the chrome on the hood for some reason is peeling off of this thing, but it's got a somewhat half-decent front bumper. It's actually, the lower portion is better than the one in the shop. And then underneath the hood here, so this is also a 324 4-barrel, so this is a Super 88. It's got all the hookup for the vacuum wipers is in place. This one actually has a generator in place, which is awesome. At least I can see how it was supposed to be. You know, all the weird little parts that I'm not quite sure how they're supposed to go, this car will help with that. Alright, I couldn't get the trunk open by drilling it, but I did end up pulling the back seat out and crawling through. There's a huge mouse nest back there, so I didn't go too far in. But check this out, this is pretty cool. The original seat back, it's got an ashtray back here. I don't know, the actual seat pattern's pretty neat too. It's got this funny rope here. I don't know what this is all about. I don't know if that's fancy or what's happening. And so in the trunk there was an extra fuel pump, which is awesome because they don't make them. And here's some fishing stuff. Give that to my buddy Chris. He might like that. I also found these. These are like the custom chrome stainless mud flaps. Those are pretty cool. And I reached through. I managed to get the trunk unlocked from the inside. So here it is. It's not been opened in a long time. There's a spare tire. There's a big mouse nest under there. Some ancient snow chains. That's pretty cool. We've got a tin of something. There's an old t-shirt back here or something. An old rag, I don't know, coveralls maybe. Now down here, I did see an extra winder. There's a pretty old glass bottle. Oh, it's a Lucky Lager. That's hilarious. I'll put that up in the shop on the wall. Here's the rest of, oh, there's another vacuum wiper switch. Cool. I think he said this was an original carb for it. It's an old Rochester. But I don't know if it needs a kit. I'll have to look at it a little closer. It's got a ballast resistor. Looks like it doesn't have a thermostat in there, so I'll have to go through that. Now it's got power steering, and the pump looks to be in pretty good shape. I don't know if it was gone through or not. Everything is mostly there. See, there's the fuel pump goes down. Right, fuel pump down there. It's got an alternator. I noticed online, obviously these came with generators. It looks like it's got new plugs in it. I'll have to check, see if there's any oil in it. Exhaust manifolds are on it. Alright, I've got the fuel pump in the vise here, and I've got it pulled apart. So here's one section, and I've just been soaking this down with, this is that Honda carb cleaner. Sorry for the crazy workbench here. Normally I just use brake clean, but when it's really packed in or really thick crap in there, I'll use this stuff. It breaks it down pretty good. But I don't know where to actually get it, so my buddy gave it to me, and I've only got one can, so I sort of just use it sparingly. But this is the other side of it. This is the surface that actually made it to this one. So you can see that's all corrosion in there, and it's just so crusty. It looks like there's stuff that's supposed to spin and move, and you can't even see what anything is. So I've just basically been soaking it with this Honda stuff here. Just sort of spritzing it in there. If you hold it, it doesn't spritz, but just loading it up, letting it soak and eat and chew away on that corrosion. This side I already did it to, and this side looked like this one, so it's working pretty good. And then the pump itself, this rubber diaphragm here, this whole thing was like corroded, and so I've just been working on this out of I've got 2 fuel pumps out of the car. This was the better of the 2. The other one is really crusty. Now, in the parts car, there's still one attached to the engine. I don't know how good or bad it would be, but if this one doesn't work, I'll pull that one off and sort of go through it. Alright, I found a broken gasket, so this plunger sits in that hole there, but this gasket around it is supposed to be part of this gasket. You can see where it's all torn. This one's ripped right off. I don't know if my camera will focus here, but so I'm going to go pull apart the other pumps and hope that I can find this plunger with a good gasket. Alright, here's the carb for the Oldsmobile. I don't actually know what size this is. My guess would be like a 500 CFM, maybe a 600 tops. But I did get a carb kit for it, and I'm just going to pull it apart now and see what it looks like inside. Now, the young guy said he did put a kit in it, but that was probably 5 years ago. So I'm just going to open it up and see. You know, some people maybe put a kit in it, but they didn't clean the jets. Who knows what it looks like inside, but we will see. Wow, well, I'm actually pleasantly surprised. Look how clean that is in there. So somebody's obviously cleaned it out prior. Maybe the young guy did it, I'm not sure. I know he said he bought this carb. I think it's like an original carb for one of these. Now I'll have to see if the throttle blades are worn out or anything like that. But I think he said he paid like $600 used for it. So hopefully it works. I don't know. I'll have to do a real good check on it. I know my 57 Dodge has the original carb on it too, but I've never actually opened it up because I never could find a rebuild kit for it. But sometimes it's sort of like, why mess with something when it works? Just leave it be. Look at these floats. Quite the setup. Yeah, looking online, these weren't Quadrijets with an A. It's Quadri with an I. Quadrijet. It's like a very early version. It's very heavy too. This is like cast steel or cast iron. This is not aluminum or pot metal or anything. It's pretty heavy. Well, I think that's probably the worst of it, is here on the butterfly. There's a bunch of rust. So obviously water had gotten down. We know there was water in the engine. It came out in the oil, and it was a little stuck when we first got it. But that there is a good sign there was moisture in it. And there's also some weird stuff, like just little bits of junk down inside. Like right here, like what is that? Little chunks of crap down in there. And this actually, when I took it apart, there was a bunch of dog hair in there. So, I don't know if Buddy was maybe rolling around playing with his dog when he went through the carb. I don't know. But, oh well, yeah, good to go through. This accelerator pump, it's a little bit crusty looking. It was pretty dry. So I think the kit probably has one. We'll change that. Just the little things. I'm not sure. I'll take a look at the needle and see what it looks like. But just go through it. I did buy the kit. I mean, even if I just use a couple parts out of it, it was pretty cheap. So change this center gasket here. It looks okay, but because it's already been crushed from being tightened one time, I don't want to put it back in. It won't seal quite the same. The only thing I had to do is take those butterflies, like the throttle blades, off the shaft, and then use a wire brush and clean up. There was just some surface rust. But the reason it's so heavy is that base plate is cast iron. So yeah, it's a big thick chunk of cast iron down there. But right now I pulled the distributor out of the back. Now the distributor that came out is this one. And I don't know, I'm confused. It's different. It's a lot different than, it must be more modern. I'm not sure what it's supposed to fit. I should run the part number on it and see if it comes up with anything. But it's got like newer style cap and rotor. It's got the little grooves on the bottom here for like a newer style cap with the little L-shaped sort of spring-loaded arm that you push down. But the points I ordered are not for this. They're actually for a different one. So the points I ordered are actually for this distributor. This came out of the parts car. See the base, it's thicker down here. I'll have to compare. Well, obviously this one and the other one are the same length in the engine, but this one's got, it's just different. So hopefully everything's here for the points to go back in. I'll have to take a look at it, see what they've got. The wire's broken here, and then I'll have to get this line out and make a new one for the vacuum advance. But this is the proper distributor, so I'm going to clean this one up, and hopefully this is the one that'll work. Alright, I changed out the the oil filter to a Baldwin. It did have a Fram, but it was just a tiny little thing, and I like to have a good, decent sized filter in here. I also hooked up the oil pressure line there. It did have a broken end on it, so actually when I was cranking over the engine I could hear something dripping on the floor, and it was definitely oil. It made a big mess, but it was good because there was actually some water in it. So I drained the oil out, and oh man, maybe 2 quarts of water came out. So hopefully this engine will be okay. We'll see. And at the back here I got the fuel tank in. I sort of had to make a strap over, or make the bolt work for a strap over here. This is just a regular bolt. I just sort of put some washers up there. This is the actual J-hook, but this side of the frame where it goes into, it looked like it maybe had sort of ripped or something, so I just made something work here. I just retapped the bolt head further and put some spacers and made it work. But the tank's in. I did have to make a I had to flare a piece of brake tube and put it into that female end that they had there. And then there's the other end of it. I just cut it short and cleaned it up, ready for a piece of hose. Man, I'm having bad luck with stuff letting go here. Fluids. The transmission fluid let go on the Fargo over there a couple months ago. And now this 55 Olds. That's a bunch of oil on the floor. So I don't know what happened here. I mean, I was cranking on it. You know, I put oil in the engine. I was cranking on it. And it looks to me like it came out of right here. This is sort of that aftermarket filter adapter that the kid bought. And it's definitely leaking out of there. I don't know if it's also leaking out of the fitting there for the oil pressure, or if it looks to me like it's just running down from the top. So hopefully I can crank it down a little more. That's pretty frustrating. If that thing doesn't seal, I'll probably go grab the one from the other car. Hopefully it's got it on it still. And we'll have to go check, see if it's got the filter housing on there. I might just go back to that style and get rid of that adapter, because I don't know if that thing's actually sealing. And secondly, the radiator leaks. So I put some coolant in it. It's a Record radiator, and it just started dripping out the bottom, so that's too bad. And I pulled off this guy. So this is the original style filter housing with the bolt, and this uses a filter that goes inside. Now, unfortunately, I don't actually have a new filter for it, but I might pull this old one out and just clean it up and see what it looks like, at least for now. This won't be a permanent thing. I mean, it's risky using an old filter, but we'll see. We'll see what it looks like when I get it out and clean up. It looks like it's actually a Fram, if you can see that. A really old Fram filter. It says new on it. That's pretty funny. I'll get it cleaned up and we'll take a look at it. So there's the filter out. It says new Fram wear guard. That's pretty neat. Safety rated efficiency from Canada. So built in Canada. That's very cool. I don't know the last time a Fram was built in Canada. I'm pretty hesitant to use this. It's pretty old. I'm going to call the parts store, see if they can get me one. I know Rock Auto has them, but all of a sudden we got this stupid tariff thing on the go. So yeah, I'll see if I can make a Rock Auto order. But CH106PL, I'll see if the parts store can get anything similar to this. And if so, then I can use this housing. And I've just sprayed it in with brake clean it out a bit. It's got some debris in there, so it makes me think the filter's probably got it too. But this was not leaking in the car and in the parts car till I cracked it open. So my hopes are strong that it won't leak in this car. Alright, so that filter housing is in. And so hopefully it won't leak when this one cranks down so much better. You just crank down on the bolt there and it seals it right to the housing. So I took that other one out. So here's what the other one was. It's like this aluminum plate, and it had this, it's like this threaded shaft that someone's made for it that threads into the original spot on that small part there, and then the big threads is for the filter. So it's a neat idea. It just didn't seal at all. And the gasket back there is new, and nothing was sealing. So hopefully this one does. And I also welded in this muffler. I didn't buy it. This was actually just on my green Ford pickup when it was a two-wheel drive. My buddy had the truck and he put brand new exhaust on it right before I got it from him. So this muffler was just laying outside. It's the right size, it was the right length, just a single muffler. So hopefully that's good. And then I just sort of put the bend here through the factory hole where the tailpipe goes. But the tailpipe was rotten and full of water. So I just put like a little dump almost on the side there, sort of shoots out by the tire. That's enough for me, just to have some kind of an exhaust. Okay, I went ahead and pulled the radiator out of the Oldsmobile there. And there was a hole here, and there was a pinhole down here. So I just sort of pushed away the copper fins. And I don't know how well the camera is going to focus here. It's not the best camera, but there was a pinhole, so I basically just dabbed it with the flux and heated up with the torch, and then just put some solder in there. And it seems like the pinhole is, well, it wasn't a pinhole, it was a pretty good gouge. It looked like maybe when the rad got installed, when they put the fan in, the fan gouged it and actually broke one of these cores. So I just soldered that, and then I soldered the bottom one here. You can see it on the face. So hopefully that holds. It doesn't have to hold much. I didn't even get the car started and it was leaking right out the front. So worst case, even if it still weeps a little bit, I've used this stuff before. This is iron. It's called Iron Tight. Stops coolant leaks. And I've used it before on old radiators I had where it was beyond soldering, and it actually fixed the leak. I was quite surprised. So I do have some of that if this still weeps after I put it back in the car. Okay, so I was cranking on it for a while, and I've been having some issues. This fitting here, it's not even the housing anymore, it's just this fitting here. It's just constantly leaking. So I actually took the oil line off, and I just put a bolt in there with some thread tape to try and plug it just for now. It just keeps leaking out of there when I'm cranking on it. So that's one issue. And the other is the starter. It was getting pretty warm, but I realized the connections up there, I can't really see them, I can't get the light up. They're up there at the top of the starter, on the starter solenoid there. They were loose, so whoever put the engine back in, they did put the starter in and the wires on, and they just like 3/4 of the way tightened it down. They didn't actually tighten it all the way. And that's sort of been the going theme on this car. Everything is just about done, but not quite. The engine was in place, but not lined up on the mounts. The mounts weren't bolted down. The starter is in, but all the bolts are like half tight. The oil system, it's everything. The carb was on, but the knot tightened down. The linkage was not, like, nothing's lining up. It's sort of going in that direction where you go one step forwards and two steps back. And then up here, so I was having an issue with spark. It turned out to be a whole bunch of really corroded connections. So the connection on the ballast resistor from the key, that was corroded. The key itself was corroded. And this neutral safety switch down here was corroded. So I had a whole bunch of corrosion issues I chased down. But I cranked on it. I do have spark. So I started cranking on it last night, late at night, and it was just puffing out the carb, so I figured it was 180 out. So I swapped the firing order, and that's when the starter started heating up a little bit, and I just let it cool off all night. So, and I finally lined up the belts. The spacer, the fan spacer down there between the fan and the pulley, for some reason it was inside the fan, and it made the pulley sit out like an inch. So I've got it lined up for the power steering, and I put the generator in over there. I don't know if I showed that before. That came off the parts car. It's just all the wiring lines up. It's meant to be there. And the regulator there came out of the parts car too. I did actually polarize it, and it sparked like it polarized. So we will see. I mean, I'm not expecting that generator to do anything, but it might. That'd be pretty cool. So, yeah, now that I've tightened the starter down, I was just going to put some gas down it and keep cranking on it and see if I can get it to flash off. So I was cranking on it, and I could hear something. Every time I would let off on the key, you could just hear something, sounded like oil running. Now this is running because I've opened up the filter housing. I got to pull this whole assembly down of that back housing that bolts the block, and all the way up there you can see oil is coming down. So there's something at the top, and I feel like it's actually another nipple for a oil pressure line or something. I don't know. I'm gonna have to pull the whole assembly down. Once again, I'm pretty sure something didn't get tightened. So. And then I also found loose, like the exhaust is bolted up, but it never got tightened down. So there's all kinds of things on here that it's like it got halfway and just never quite finished. Okay, I got that base out. So this side is the one that faces down, and I thought was definitely leaking. However, that was wide open. That goes right into the oil pump there. And that was wide open. Never plugged, never anything. So, and that was facing up towards the block. There's no way, I couldn't see it from the top. I didn't even know that piece was there. So for one, the gas tank leaked. I tried putting just a little bit of fuel in it, and it was dripping all over the ground underneath here. And I put a plug in there. You can sort of see it there, that shiny brass plug. I put it in and it kept leaking. So I went out to the parts car and I pulled that plug out and I tried it, but the plug's too big from the parts car. So then I was walking around looking for a plug the right size, and of course the one in here is a weird, I want to say it's like a metric thread that I didn't have. I finally found something that works, and it kept leaking. Just a lot of trial and error, and it's not the big deal that it leaks, but it's like every time you reach your arm up there to fix it, you're getting gas up your sleeves and fighting with it. So that was one thing. Then I just put coolant in it, and it's going good. And of course, the rad did leak. I think I showed that earlier, but I did solder it. I soldered one of the tubes, so that's holding. That's awesome news. But all of a sudden, back of the engine, I could hear coolant dripping on the floor, and put the car up in the air again. And unfortunately, it was missing the back exhaust manifold bolts, and none of the others were tight. And the two at the very back on the bottom were missing on both sides. So I guess the heads are live. So if you guys don't know what that means, live heads means that coolant flows through them, and where the exhaust manifold bolts go into, those holes, coolant flows there. So you need to plug them. So anyways, it was missing the bolts, and so yeah, it just dumped all over the floor. So then I just dealt with that. I've got coolant in it now. I'm going to run it without the rad cap, and just hopefully the thermostat opens and let it circulate. So good news, really good news. I was fighting with it, trying to get this thing started. I couldn't get the right timing. I got my wife in here to crank on the key, and I put my finger over number 1, got it on the compression stroke, finally figured out timing that it likes. It actually seems to like it, really advanced timing, like almost kicking back on the starter, like just kicking back a little bit, but it fires up. It seems to like that. Hopefully once it's broken in, it will, I can retard the timing a little bit. The poor starter, like, it was smoking, it was so hot, none of the connections were tight, of course, so I finally got that going. I did get it running. I didn't show it. I cranked on it forever. I mean, I was just killing my camera battery trying to get it, but I did get it running, and it's got about, I want to say 30 pounds, 40 pounds of oil pressure, or at least that's what the factory gauge is saying. I could be way off, but so yeah, I'm just working on basically getting it to the point where I can get it running and let it run for 20 minutes so we can break that cam in. I do not want to run it for 3 minutes and then shut it off, and 3 minutes and shut it off. That's the worst thing. So just trying to get it to the point where I can comfortably run it. It's got coolant in it now. And then this generator, I got it hooked up. I'm going to try and polarize it. That'd be awesome if it just worked. I highly, highly doubt it will, but right now it's just a belt tensioner. But look at this. I've got fuel in my fuel filter, which means that that pump that we went through on the bench there, and I went through 4 different old junk pumps to make one work. It is working, so that is excellent news. And I also didn't realize the vacuum side of that, it's just extra vacuum. It's not the only vacuum source. So I guess they had a line that came off the back of the carb or the intake to the wipers. This other vacuum here, that's just extra. It's like a booster. So who cares if that doesn't work? At least we have something. So that's where I'm at with the Oldsmobile. I've definitely got to the point where I was getting ready to just drag it outside and stick it on the street with a for sale sign. Because like I said, it's just fighting me every step of the way. However, now that I actually got it running, I can see there's hope. Maybe it knew. Maybe it was like, please don't sell me. Everybody else sells me. Just get me going, please. So here, let's get it. We'll get it. See if I can get it fired up. Show you guys. And then I still got to get the seat bolted down and a bunch of stuff. I got to get a gas pedal out of the parts car. This thing just has. There's just like a rod down there. It's kind of awkward to use. I'm pretty sure the accelerator pump works. There we go. Now, that horrible sound, I think, is the power steering pump. Maybe it's the generator screaming away. It could be. Something not happy, but I don't think it's anything important. This is excellent, excellent news. I was losing faith. So yeah, I'm going to stop filming here. I'm just going to get in and run it higher RPM for about probably 20 minutes. Maybe I'll just jam a screwdriver in it. Okay, well, I got it moved outside. Transmission fluid was quite low. It took a little bit. It's got 0 brakes. No brakes at all. Parking brake doesn't work. So luckily the brakes were a little stiff and it didn't take off on me and plow into the Fargo, but I just moved it over here. I'm probably going to leave it outside tonight. I'd like to pressure wash it probably tomorrow. That horrible squealing sound was a vacuum leak. It's just burning off a ton of tranny fluid right now because I spilled it all over the place, of course. But it runs okay. I'm just going to let it idle here for a while. It's a little clattery. It does have about 40 pounds of oil pressure, or according to that gauge in the car. I don't know if it's overheating. I have no temp gauge, but I might, well, it's not overheating. I mean, it would come out the rad, but I may try and figure that out. Now the other thing is the heater hoses, the heater core leaks inside the car. It's leaking all over the floor. See if I can show you here. It's coming down the floor pan there. So, oh yeah, and the oil pressure is dropping a little bit, but at least it's around 30, that's fine. Fuel gauge is lying to me, it doesn't work. Temp gauge isn't working, and that generator, of course, isn't working, so I might just stick an alternator in it, and who knows, maybe I'll put another Chrysler alternator in it. I have a whole bunch of those upstairs. May as well use them up. So, I mean, the next guy I'm sure will be confused, but it is running. It is running, and that's great news. I might just put the hood down here and put it in here and see if I can move it. And I just set the timing to about, it's set at 5 degrees. I just looked online, that's what guys said they do, so. Oh yeah, it goes into reverse. We are driving in reverse. Works pretty good, actually. That's really good news. I was really worried about the transmission. And see on the thing here, reverse is all the way over to the right. Neutral's far left. But when I put it in neutral, it does want to drive forward. So, boom. And I just took off there, and I got 0 brakes, and I just plowed over my block of wood. So I gotta get the brakes figured out before I do anything else here. I don't want to wreck the car driving into the trees. But parking brake doesn't do a thing, unfortunately. So, oh well, lots to do still, but at least we got it running. Alright guys, well, I'm going to call that part 1 on the 55 Olds. Normally I would have just done like the whole thing on one video, like get the car, go through it, get it running, driving, make that a video. But this thing fought me every step of the way just to get it running. So I'm going to call it here, but I will do a part 2. We'll pressure wash it, we'll pull the wheels off. I got to go through the brakes. It has 0 brakes. The pedal goes straight to the floor. The young guy told me that he did do all the brakes, but then it sat about 5-6 years or something, and it sat up in Sayward, which is a really wet area of the island. It's raining all the time. It's damp. So the brakes are probably worst case, all the wheel cylinders are leaking. Unfortunately, you can't seem to get brake parts very easily for this car. I don't know how far I'm going to go with this car. My thoughts were to make it a driver, but again, if I can't get brake parts and it's going to turn into this nightmare, I may just make it run, drive, clean it up, and put it up for sale. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to call it on part 1 here of the 324 revival. Yeah, we'll see you on the next one.